Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Baseball Adjacent. And we are back for season number 2 of Baseball Adjacent and season number, I don't know, of Major League Baseball. Do they count how many seasons we've ever played in Major League Baseball? Do you know that?
They sure do somewhere, but that's a baseball reference question.
Okay, well, I'm not on Baseball Reference because I'm on Tier Maker because we're starting the year with a tier list, because that feels like the thing to do. Opening day, as you guys are watching this, is actually tonight. I think it's Yankees Giants in San Francisco. It's on Netflix. Hashtag not an ad, but like could be if you throw money at
Could
us.
be.
We'll
Go
do
get
it.
your subscription.
Yeah, yeah. Jameis Winston is on the broadcast. I heard
Yeah.
somewhere. So
Pat McAfee show.
I don't know what we're doing, but I'm excited for baseball season. I will tell you after the game if I was excited for the Netflix baseball endeavor. That's a TBD thing, I
That is,
think.
that is TBD. That is TBD. If it's anything like Apple TV, it'll be fine. Not great, but it'll be okay.
Yeah. But you know what? It's a new season. I'm excited. Justin's excited. We're breaking into a tier list. This is our like opening day tier list. I guess predictions for the season also. We're
Yeah.
going to go through every team and throw them in tiers in the order in which we think that they are good. You guys have watched tier list videos before. You know how this works. I'm not going to explain it. We have not come up with tier names because we're going to do that on the fly, except for the top is the Dodgers, the bottom is the Rockies, because that feels appropriate. That does not mean the Rockies have to be in the Rockies. That's just the name of the tier. Same with the Dodgers, although I think the Dodgers are going to be
In the Dodgers
in
tier.
in the Dodgers. So that's where we're at. Like and subscribe if you guys are new. Let us know if we nailed it on your team, or let us know if you hate us because we botched your team predictions so bad. And maybe at the end of the year, we'll come back to this and see where we put everybody and grade ourselves. We'll do a tier list on how we tiered everybody preseason.
We'll see how terrible we are and how little ball knowledge we actually truly have. So it's about to be opening day. Let's get into this one.
Yeah, let's get in. And the first team I'm looking at here is the Atlanta Braves. So this is your team. We're going to start big, guys. So, Justin, go ahead. Start us off. Kick off the year.
Well, okay. So as the Braves Glazer on the channel, I think we are winning it all, going to a World Series. No, I will say this: the for all of the Braves fans that have said Alex Anthopoulos has not done anything this offseason, has not made moves in the past, he's finally done that. Now, has things worked out come March 27th? Not necessarily. We've got 9 guys on the injured list, like the last 2 years of being the Atlanta Braves. But I will say, despite the Spencer Strider now going to miss the first couple weeks with an oblique injury, Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrop having bone spurs going to be on the IL until at least May. Um, Hassan Kim can't even slip on, or he'll slip on ice and break, or not. He didn't break his hand; he tore a ligament in his hand. But anyway, regardless, we have a bunch of injuries that are stacking up. But I'm still very positive on this team. I think Mike Yastrzemski has been tremendous in spring training. I think the rotation is going to hurt now because we've not signed anybody, but the bullpen is massively improved. On paper, it looks pretty good. The lineup still looks good. Ronald Acuna looked really good in the World Baseball Classic. Ozzy Albies looked good in the World Baseball Classic. And there's a lot of guys like in Austin Riley, Drake Baldwin that can be good players, have been good players in the past. There's a lot of guys that need to show that they need to improve. So I do think this is a team that can be contenders. I just am so afraid as a Braves fan because of the potential injuries, because our injury bugs already hit us, and Jerks and Profar can't stay off the you know what. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put them for now in the B tier that we've got now, and we'll find a name for it. I think they are contenders. I'm still hopeful. I still think we can contend on paper. I think we're fine, but the pitching injuries are starting to concern me a little bit, especially if a Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrop can't get back in June, July, or even May, like some people are rumoring. Like, we might need to go out and sign a Lucas Giolito, but that's not going to help us right now because it'll take him a month to even get ready. So Braves need pitching help already. I do think they still are at least a team that can contend in the NL East or at least contend for an NL wild card spot. So for now, I'll put them in the B tier.
Yeah, the NL East is it's an interesting division. Certainly, there's a lot of stuff going on. It feels like the Mets simultaneously have gotten better and worse. The Phillies, I feel like, have simultaneously gotten better and worse. The Nationals, who knows what's about to pop out of that ball club? Miami is, you know what, still a professional baseball team. So I don't really know what's about to happen in the East. It's interesting. I mean, one of three teams is probably going to win that division if we're all honest with ourselves. It's the Braves, the Phillies, or the Mets. I feel like everything you just said, I kind of echo with the Phillies. I don't feel like they got better this offseason. I feel like they added Adolis Garcia. They brought back JT Realmuto. They did extend Christopher Sanchez just a couple of days ago, actually.
Yeah.
They lost Ranger, I think, to Boston. I like to me, the Phillies and Braves are kind of in the same spot. I think it's fair to put them together because I think they're very comparable. I think it depends on like the Aaron Nola you get, but like maybe the Phillies pitching just because they're healthy right now or healthier right now is a tick better than the Braves. But I think maybe the Braves lineup is like a little bit better than the Phillies. I think it's a very
Best overall offense in spring
comparable.
training. I'll say that.
Say that again.
Best overall offense in spring training.
Yeah, I think they're
Best run differential.
comparable. I
Yeah.
think I think both teams are pretty comparable. I think it's fair to put them next to each other.
Yeah, I
Um,
do. And I will say, as again, resident Braves fan here, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. I'm not draft neck Mark, who's going to continue to glaze the Mets, like, and I'll glaze the Braves, whatever. But I will say this about the Phillies: the Zach Wheeler thoracic outlet syndrome thing really does concern me. Because all the statistics behind pitchers coming back from thoracic outlet syndrome, the percentages are you're never the same if you even come back in general. Aaron Nola pitching well in the World Baseball Classic eases some of those concerns in the rotation because Christopher Sanchez has been absolutely amazing. Aaron Nola was really good in the World Baseball Classic compared to what he was in 2025. So what Aaron Nola do you get? If you get the Aaron Nola you just saw in the World Baseball Classic, okay, cool. That extends that rotation and now they've got a shot to compete. But I actually don't trust this offense more than I trust the pitching staff. And I think the pitching staff's going to have to be a team that carries them. So I don't know. I still think they'll be competitive, like you said, but I do think the pitching concerns me a bit more because they need bounce backs from guys that are aging. And this team in general is aging. So when are they going to finally hit that cliff?
yeah, it's. I mean, they've moved off of Castellanos. Notably, he's a Padre that we'll talk
Yep.
about in a minute. But I don't know. It'll be interesting out east. I think I'm gonna just take one off the board if you don't mind. We're gonna get through the Dodgers real quick. They've won a World Series 2 years ago with no starting pitching, and
Yep.
then this year they won a World Series with no bullpen. And it feels like they've tried to shore that up at least a little bit. They brought in Edwin Diaz. Kyle Tucker is now a Dodger. It's the best team. In my opinion, I don't really think that there's a team that's super comparable to them. Although I guess you could make a little bit of a case for a few teams looking at the list, but they're the best team. I mean, they have
Yeah.
Otani, they have Betts, they have Kyle Tucker. It is a team that you would assemble in MLB The Show with the with the budget turned off. That is what they've assembled, but like in real life, and it feels like now they have all three parts because it feels like they've kind of handicapped themselves the last couple of years, where they're like, we don't need pitching, or all of their pitching gets injured.
Yep.
Uh, so that's the bit on the Dodgers. I think they're the best
Yeah.
team, and I don't know that it's particularly close in a bubble.
The one thing I'll echo too with the Dodgers, or the one thing you can, I guess, throw out as a question is, okay, how do they manage the regular season? Yeah, we're talking about load management now. They have the pieces to go in and blitz the league and break the Seattle Mariners record for the most wins in a season, but are they really going to do that? I think they're going to load manage a lot just to make sure they're the healthiest they've ever been going into the postseason. and they've got the pieces to do it. So I think they're going to blitz the league, but I don't think they're going to be so clear that they're breaking the record for the most wins ever in Major League Baseball. So I think they'll be good. No, scratch that. I think they'll be great, but I don't think they're going to be head over heels better than everybody because I think they'll load manage.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the thing with the Dodgers, right? The last thing maybe we'll say about this is they're going to pop out 100 wins, right? They
Yeah.
just are. It's going to be awfully tough to beat them in a series over the course of the year, and teams will do that. Like you're going to run into a series or into a week where they drop 5 in a week or they lose a 4-game series to someone, right? But they are the dog that everybody's chasing, and I think that's good for a league. Like you need one of those. People love to hate dynasties, and they are turning into a pretty powerful dynasty all of a sudden. So shout out to Dodgers. If you're a Dodgers fan, enjoy it. This is what every like fan base dreams of, I think. So that's where we're at with them. Why don't you pick another team here?
Well, while we're still at the top of the list, let's keep it in the NL East, and let me just go ahead and get the Nationals out of the way. Let's put the Nationals in the Rockies category. I
Okay.
think the Nationals are young but bad.
Yeah.
You're turning on a Nationals game to watch James Wood. It is the James Wood show, nothing else. Mackenzie Gore is now a Texas Ranger,
Yep.
and all the other young pieces haven't really shown anything. So it's James Wood. You're restarting this kind of clock of a rebuild. And what they got back in the Juan Soto trade was going to be something that kind of got a potential dynasty going with them, or at least a very solid core that they could win with. That core hasn't necessarily proven, or at least hasn't shown fruits as of yet. So they'll be young. They'll be a little bit exciting to watch, but it's the James Wood show and nobody else. So if you're a Nationals fan like Jake is, have fun enjoying James Wood and how amazing he is. But that's the only reason why you should be tuning into a Washington Nationals game this year.
Yeah, it's him and like I guess like CJ Abrams. Like the pitching doesn't excite me really. There's not a lot of like they're young, and that in
Yeah.
itself is exciting because you're like, oh, one of these guys could pop out. I'll cite the A's, like Nick Kurtz, Wilson last year. Like those guys kind of popped off, right? And it was exciting to watch the A's for the first time in a while. That could happen for Washington. Unfortunately, it might not, right? That's always
Yeah.
the risk you run. So I think I don't mind them down there if I'm honest. And also, yeah, I don't know. Okay, we talked about the A's.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted where to put the A's, right? Because they're
I am too.
young. They are okay. They hit, they mash. And I know part of that is the ballpark. I get
Mhm.
it. I understand it. Don't need to yell at me, comment section. But I don't know like how to balance that with the rest of their roster. Because Luis
Yeah.
Severino, I don't think wants to be there and
Nope.
didn't pitch all that incredibly last year, but the lineup kind of bangs. Like if you go around the infield, it's kind of gnarly. Like Nick Kurtz is maybe a top three first baseman in the league, and he's played like 100 games. Uh, like Jacob Wilson, it seems like is just gonna hit 330 again this year. Maybe you have like
Brent Rooker mashes.
Rooker,
Like you Yeah.
Soderstrom, Langoliers. I mean, the team is gonna mash. They're gonna be exciting.
But
I don't
yeah, I mean, if
know.
they
I don't
mash
know.
6 runs a game but give up 7 or 8,
Yeah.
how many games are you winning? So that's my big concern with them, and I feel like in that C tier where you've got them right there, I feel like is probably where they'll need to stay.
Yeah.
I like everything that you just said. I'll continue to say too. Like Jeff McNeil coming in to then replace Zach Geloff, who's going to be out with a shoulder injury to start the year. That's going to be positive there. The lineup's going to continue to mash. You're in Sacramento. The ball's going to fly in the summertime. They were fourth in slugging last year. They're probably going to be a top 10 or at least a top or even top 5 slugging team again this year. They're going to mash. They're going to be exciting to watch. It's just that pitching, I think, arguably got worse when it was pretty bad last year. And like you mentioned, Luis Severino does not want to be there. It's a AAA ballpark that he's got to walk way too far from the locker room. Like it's not a good situation for the pitching staff there.
Yeah.
Not to mention to be in a secondary course field where that ball flies, especially when the temperatures start rising. So I think they'll mash, but the pitching's got to show something. And if they don't have any pitching, they're not going to contend in the AL West at all. But I do think they'll be a thorn in a lot of people's side because of that offense.
Yeah, it's randomly going to be like a big home field advantage, and not because of the crowd, but because the ball just flies. It's going to be kind of like Coors a little bit, I think. Um, dude, yeah, I think C tier feels fair for them. I think
Yeah.
it's I think they're definitely a tick below the Braves and the Phillies, but I am looking at other teams left, and I there's teams worse than them coming, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, why don't you grab a
I ju-
team? Grab a team.
I'll just say this before I grab a team. With the A's, if they find a way to get a pitcher or two that can have an under 4.3 ERA,
Yeah.
they might actually contend in the AL West. You just need one or two. So
Yeah.
Luis Severino, lock it in. Go trade for somebody from like the Rays or something like that. Like go get Drew Rasmussen or something,
Hmm.
and go from there. So speaking of which, then let's go to the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep.
So that I think is a solid rotation, a very solid bullpen. But what in the world is that offense and lineup
Yeah.
compared to what you've had in the past? You have Junior Caminero, great, but what else are you running out in that lineup? I think they're actually going to be in the D tier here. I know
Oh,
that's
interesting.
maybe crazy to say. I think the pitching is great, and I think it'll keep them in a lot of ball games. But I don't think they have the offense unless they're just playing small ball with Chandler Simpson the whole game. I think they're in a position where, again, I'll probably be proven wrong. Go ahead and clip this now when the Rays are winning the AL East above the Yankees and all this other stuff because, like, Moneyball wins championships. But uh, the Rays, I'm not sold on. I think their offense is not very good. And yeah, your pitching rotation is good. Shane McClanahan's still a big question mark because he's finally back after 2 years off. What's crazy to say, I'm not sure if I can say this on camera, but I'm going to say it anyway. Shane McClanahan hasn't pitched for the Rays since Wander Franco. Like Wander Franco has played for the Rays more recently than Shane McClanahan has. So there's still a question there. I mean, you've got Rasmussen, you've got Pepio, you've got some guys there that can pitch, and then you've got like guys like Griffin Jacks from the Twins that you've traded for. So like rotation and bullpen, fine, but if you can't score runs, pitching staff can't always not or pitching staff can't always keep you scoreless to win baseball games. They're back in the trop, but I just don't see it being a very positive season for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. Although, shout out Chandler Simpson, just hit his
Yeah.
first professional over the fence homer in spring training a couple days ago. Yeah, I'm there with you. The offense to me leaves a lot to be desired. They moved off of Brandon
Yep.
Lowy,
Wow.
however we say that. He's in Pittsburgh now. He was, one of the bright spots. I think last year they were aided actually by being at Steinbrenner Field,
Yep.
and this year they're back in the trot. So
Yeah, you're gonna look at guys like Yandy Diaz. I mean, like Aranda can hit, and you've got guys that can. But those kind of cheaper pieces that are kind of still controllable, if they get off to any hot start at all, and the team just isn't winning, you're probably going to see those guys shipped off, and you're going to look at the Tampa Bay Rays way of how do we make lateral moves to then make this team competitive again. So that's where I feel like the Rays are this year. Their future's not as bleak, but I think this year will be a step back for them to take a step forward the year next or in 27.
yeah, I agree. They're kind of in like a brutal division. What has turned
Yeah,
out to be a brutal division.
yeah.
I mean, because
I,
I'm
I
looking
think they're
at
the worst team in that division.
yeah, and I'm looking at the four teams in front of them, right? In Toronto, New York, Boston, Baltimore. all of those are kind of gnarly teams, right? All of those, if they were in a different division, you feel much better about their odds at making the playoffs, but they're in the AL East, and maybe you don't. I'm gonna chip away a little bit at the AL East here. We're gonna talk about
Okay.
Baltimore,
Okay.
um, because the lineup matches. Like they have 10 guys that could start on any major league team, right? They added Pete Alonso, they added Taylor Ward. They have guys that can rate. The question is still to me, can you pitch now suddenly, which is like kind of the inverse of what you want, I guess. I feel like I would rather good pitching and like okay hitting than really good hitting and then just like not as good pitching. Although shout out the Rangers and that didn't work at all last year with the
Yeah.
best pitching staff in baseball. I like they have guys that can pitch for sure, but I'm looking at like you're gonna have to face Aaron Judge and the Yankees like 13 times, and a bunch of those are going to be in Yankee Stadium. And then you're going to have to go into Vlad Jr. and the Toronto gang 13 more times. And then you're going to have to face the Boston crew 13 times. Like it gets tough quick, right?
Yeah.
That's 40 games of just hell,
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially. Um, I don't know. I'm thinking that to me, it's probably a B tier to me for
Yeah.
Baltimore. I think it's fair to put them next to like Philly and Atlanta. I think those. I think they're in similar spots. I think that there's a real world that these three teams make the playoffs, but there's a real world that none
Those
of
three teams
these
don't make.
teams make the
Yeah.
playoffs, right?
Yeah,
So,
I would argue that Baltimore could at the very end be demoted to the top of C because
yeah,
I'm kind of in the same place with them as I am with the Athletics. But I do think the offense is slightly worse, and I do think the pitching slightly better, so that might even it out there. But either way, like I could see the A's making a playoff run. I could see the Baltimore Orioles making a run. So it's just one of those things. The bullpen and the pitching staff like is the biggest question marks. They've added Chris Bassett, cool,
yep,
but okay, Chris Bassett was slightly above average last year until playoff time. So it's just one of those things. It's like okay, well, in that division, I think you give them an AL East tax and put them top of C.
yeah. I could see that, and maybe we name C like because both these teams are going to be able to hit.
Yes,
So like banging balls or something like that.
banging
We'll
balls.
workshop it. We'll workshop it. We're gonna put that there for now until there's more teams. Uh, maybe if my computer stops
Well,
freaking out.
Well, while you're putting banging balls in, let's talk about a team that is not going to bang balls, and unless your name is Jose Ramirez, I want to talk about the Cleveland Guardians. I think the Cleveland Guardians, despite the tremendous run that they had last year with all the wins that they had to then go take that division in the last second, I think this team is significantly worse than even last year's team. I mean, Jose Ramirez is going to do what Jose Ramirez does. Gavin Williams is a really good pitcher. But outside of that, what talent do you really have in Cleveland? Like Stephen Kwan is a contact guy and speed guy, and outside of that, doesn't really do anything. Reese Hoskins has been added, cool, but has Hoskins really hit well anywhere other than like Milwaukee in the past since he's left Philadelphia? Yeah.
Yeah.
Manzardo would be solid, but he's a young guy. So just too many questions around this team with an average lineup and an average rotation with a below average bullpen. And then the next question to be had is the one guy you still got in that bullpen, is he going to start gambling too? So I don't think they're going to be banging balls around in Progressive Field. I am still going to put them because they have Jose Ramirez. I'm going to put them top of D tier
Okay.
because I do think they'll be better than the Tampa Bay Rays when all said and done because of that division. But I don't think it's going to be a massive year for the Cleveland Guardians.
Okay. Okay. Um, I want to talk about Pittsburgh for a minute.
Okay.
Pittsburgh got better. They added players for the first time in a while. They did not bring back McCutcheon, which is a whole other discussion, but they brought in players. They have Brandon Lau, who we talked about from Tampa Bay. They added Ryan O'Hearn, who's like not a
Yep.
nothing bat. They now have people that can hit, which is
Ah, you're
what we.
forgetting one. You're forgetting one.
Am I? Paul Skeens,
Yeah,
they're gonna
you
let him
are.
hit.
Oh no, you're forgetting Ozuna from the Braves. It's now Pirates.
Yeah, he doesn't count. But
Yeah, we've
so
got
they're
Marcel. You got Marcel.
they're uh they're better, I think.
They are.
They're gonna be. There's no way they hit worse than last year, right? Knock on wood. But
Yeah.
um, like the pitching staff is still going to be the pitching staff. You still have Paul Skeens. You have Bubba Chandler figures to play a bigger part this year. I think you get Jones back this year from injury.
Yep.
I think that this team will be better. I don't know that it quite reaches the like A's Baltimore level of team because in my mind, like there's at least a world that the A's could fluke like a 90 win season accidentally with the hitting that they have.
Uh-huh.
I have a harder time seeing that with Pittsburgh, even with Paul Skeens and the pitching. So I think
Yeah.
they're like a little below that. I do think they're better than Cleveland.
Yes. Um, that's where again, that's where if we change the name of Bangin' Balls, I think they would be on the bottom of that tier. I do think the offense is significantly improved, and I understand why and agree with the sentiments that this Pittsburgh Pirates team, although I do not think they will make the postseason, I do understand why they are the kind of favorite sleeper pick that everyone is picking. Like the
Yeah.
offense is significantly improved. Ashcraft is my Braxton Ashcraft is my pick for a breakout pitcher this year. I think he's going to light the world on fire. Obviously, Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens. You get Jared Jones back, Bubba Chandler, and your Urquidy is still there. I mean, Mitch Keller, we haven't even talked about. He might be someone in a trade conversation. But if they're pitching well, if they're playing well, if they're in the NL Central race, Mitch Keller might not be on the move. So they have pitching. They've added bats to this lineup. And I do think they can be a sleeper in Major League Baseball this year. I just don't think the offense will be near as good to get them to the postseason. But no, I do think they are an above 500 team. I just don't think they get to the postseason.
Yeah, because I forget what the stat was after they got rid of Shelton last year. They were close to a 500 team last year already.
Yeah.
Um, I yeah, I'd have to do some research maybe, and we'll see if editor Josh is in the mood for that when I get around to it. But they were close to a 500 team post the Shelton firing. I just I don't know. I have a harder time believing that they'll make a run than I do the other teams in that tier. But I guess there is
Yeah.
still a world that I could see because the Central is. It's not crazy, right? It's not the AL East or the NL East or NL West or whatever. Like, there's not a Dodgers in that division.
Yeah.
There is good teams, but there's not like a juggernaut that they have to overcome that they could fluke a division. And I like Cubs and Brewers fans are gonna get mad at me for saying that probably, but like it's more attainable for them to accidentally pop out a division win than it would be for like the Diamondbacks or Rockies, let's say.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I do think the Pirates have pulled themselves in that tier with the Reds and maybe the Brewers if they take the step back.
Yep.
Like, I mean, there's some teams here that I can see a path with the division. I think they're all good enough in their own way to fluke out one.
Yep. Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
So while we're here in the NL Central, let me go ahead and take the Cincinnati Reds because I think the Cincinnati Reds are in that same kind of tier as well, but I'm going to put them right behind Pittsburgh. We all know the pitching because they got to the postseason last year because of the pitching. The pitching can get them to the postseason. My concern is the bats. Eugenio Suarez really needs to be the heart of that lineup. Ellie De La Cruz needs to actually take a step. We know he has all the physical tools, but last year was not a very good year for Ellie. And if he's going to be the franchise player that Cincinnati is paying him to be, he needs to probably step up a little bit more and be that. I mean, you have Friedel, you have McLean, you have Hayes, you have Stewart, who, again, I think Sal Stewart will be a breakout year. Like, that's a guy who I've picked up on my fantasy team thinking he's going to go mash homers everywhere with that left handed bat. Stevenson is a consistent producer. So they're a good team, but I don't think they're better than three teams ahead of them in the division. And again, pitching's going to be the pitching's going to have to be what carries them unless that offense takes a step forward. But I do think Pittsburgh took a step forward while the Reds just kind of maintain what they are. So again, they can
Yeah.
still fluke it, but I think the Pirates are a better team on paper. So I'd have the Pirates above, but I do think they're in that same tier. I think all these teams in the NL Central are within a game or two of each other, and then obviously the Cubs and Brewers might be 3 or 4 games in front of this Reds Pirates tier, but I think they're kind of all within striking distance of each other.
Yeah, I would second that. I think it's a tight division
Yeah.
for sure.
It'll be exciting
Um,
one to watch because the central divisions in baseball have typically been like nothing divisions. So
yeah.
central, we've got some divisions now.
Yeah, I mean, Ellie De La Cruz, if you're a Reds fan, is one of the most exciting players in baseball. And I mean, he
Yeah,
posts, right? He's played
he is, but
160 games a year, and he's got all the
he
tools and all that.
got all the
So
tools. But I need him to take a step into being the player that the tools show that he can be.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I think when you watch, right, there is like, as a fan, there is some level of excitement. Like excitement matters if you're
Yeah,
watching. It definitely wasn't the same last year as it was in like 2024. We're talking about last year he had 3.6 WAR. The year before he had 5.2. Right? He cut down on strikeouts. His batting average was higher last year, but he wasn't hitting for as much pop. So I don't know. It's really what version of Ellie would you like, I guess, because maybe a higher batting average Ellie is actually worse because he's not hitting the homers and all that. I don't know.
yeah.
Regardless, still one of the premier players in baseball for sure. I'm gonna trim some fat here. We're just gonna knock out
Okay.
some teams that I think are not good. We'll start with the Twins. There's just not a lot, right? It's like Buxton and then like Royce Lewis, I guess. Like there's
Yeah.
guys there, but they're not gonna contend. They sold off big time at the deadline.
Uh-huh. And I do think whatever pieces they still have left outside of Buxton, if they're not playing well at all, they will be gone at the deadline too. So yeah, I agree with you. They might be better record wise than the Nationals, but I don't think they're um, a tier above at all. I think they're the Rockies. It's going to
Yeah.
be a tough unless your name's Joe Ryan or Byron Buxton or Luke Keeschel. I like Luke Keeschel.
Yeah, I also like Luke Keeschel. I think I have Luke Keeschel in a fantasy league. Maybe. I think when one of my teams I have him. I'm trying to think of who else belongs down here just to like knock some teams out semi
Yeah,
rapid fire
I
style.
mean, if we're going rapid fire, I do have the Rockies in the Rockies tier. They've taken a step up. I will say this. I will put them in between the Twins and the Nationals.
Yeah.
I do think it'll be a better season. I think they won't get to 100 losses, but I have them at 99 losses. So
Okay.
again, let the young guys play. You've got Goodman. You've got uh, Doyle, you've got Beck, Castro, McCarthy, Edward Julian comes over from the Twins, who I like. They're big leaguers. I mean, but I need to see like guys like Ezekiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle actually take a step forward of being like not good Major League Baseball players, but like, okay, I want to build my team around you players for the Rockies.
Yeah.
And I really like Chase Dollander a lot, but yeah, it's the Rockies. They're going to be there. And while we're at it too, this might be my hot take, or maybe it's not. I have the Cardinals as the worst team in baseball.
Interesting. Okay, why?
I look at that team and the rebuild is on. It's aging. You've already gotten rid of pieces. I think I'm obviously JJ Weatherholt made the opening day roster, so you're going to see a lot of JJ Weatherholt. So awesome. Going to be wearing number 26 instead of that 77. Saw the little the video there. It's cool. But this year's huge for Lars Nootbaar, Nolan Gorman, Mason Wynn, Jordan Walker. Can any of those guys be actual pieces that they want to build around? That's, I think, where the question becomes. You lose Sonny Gray, pitching staff, I don't think really looks that good. I'm going to go out there and say that the St. Louis Cardinals, at the end of the day, the rebuild's already on, but I do think it's going to be, I do think they're the worst team in baseball when all's said and done record wise.
Interesting. And you had them at 99 losses, so we don't have a 100 loss team this year.
No, so I have the Rockies at 99 losses. I have
Ah,
Cardinals at 102.
interesting. Okay, okay. I think I'm a little higher on the Cardinals than you are, but not much. Like I think I like the team maybe slightly better than the Nationals. I there's no real reason for that. I just like on vibe. I just think that
Yeah,
they'll wind up a little higher than Washington record wise. I think that they in the record are going to be aided by not having to play the Mets, Phillies, and Braves over and over
that
and
is
over
true.
again. Um, I don't know that the roster is better, but I think the record will be better.
Okay.
But I don't disagree with where you're at. I think there's still no matter how you cut it, there's still I think in this bottom tier, right?
Uh huh.
Um, but yeah, I'm right there with you. Honestly, let me ask you about this team because
Okay.
I have struggled with where to put them. It's the Chicago White Sox
Well, funny
because
enough, I was looking right at my notes to that because I was going to say, I think they are in the D tier.
okay, okay. I had them. I was struggling with where to put them. I didn't know if it was like they've gotten better. I think
Yeah.
they finally traded Robert like 2 years too late, but like they did it finally.
Uh huh.
Uh, I had them like right at the top of the Rockies or bottom of D, right?
Yeah,
Um, I like they do have players that you'd be excited to watch. I think now at least
they
ish.
do.
So that's an improvement.
Yeah.
There's no way they're as bad as they were like 2 or 3 years ago.
Uh
It
huh.
feels like they are finally improving a little bit, but I still don't think there's any stretch of the imagination where they're a good baseball team.
Yeah, and this is weird for how the tier list is kind of panned out here based on what my records predictions were because I actually still have the Twins 2 games better than the Chicago White Sox in the standings, but
Okay.
I think looks of the teams, this is I think where they really need to be. I think the Minnesota Twins have enough talent early on in the year to build enough of a gap to where they still sell and become a horrible team towards the end as opposed to the Chicago White Sox are just young. They've got Kyle Till, they've got Montgomery, they've got Caro, they've got Lee, they got Sosa,
Yeah.
Acuna, they've brought in Murakami. Shane Smith is a pitcher that I like a lot. So, and then they've got a lot of reclamation projects and guys that can really go out there and prove that they deserve another chance in the big leagues. So, I do think when all's said and done, they'll be a very inconsistent team because of how young they are. So,
Yeah.
record wise, I don't think they beat the Twins by the end of the year. But I do think they're finally in a position, not because they traded Robert, but because of the other pieces around them. I do think they're in a spot where this year you can actually say, it won't be amazing, but this is the year that things started to turn around in the rebuild. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think they're blitzing the AL Central. I just think they're finally on the right track. So I've got them bottom of that D tier so far.
Yeah, I think that's like a fair spot to put them. I'm gonna ask you about another team, I guess, and it's the Angels.
Okay.
This is another team that I've struggled with. I think they're for sure the worst team in the West. I think in the
Absolutely.
AL West, and I think that that's gonna wind up being somewhere in D tier for me because I think that
Yep.
they are better than all of the teams down here. I think they're probably better than the White Sox. I think they're probably close to the Rays.
Yeah, I put them in and around that Rays position. I'll put them behind the Rays just because what in the world is this pitching staff?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, Yeah, you've got Soriano on paper, who's solid. Yusei Kikuchi on paper is solid. You just traded for Grayson Rodriguez, and who knows what you're going to get out of him coming back from injury. Outside of that, who in the world is in that bullpen and that rotation and anywhere throwing a baseball out of the pen in Anaheim? Mike Trout is getting older. He's moving back to center field full time
Yep.
as he ages. Josh Lowe does help the offense, but you have a bunch of old, aging veterans that haven't really produced in 2 or 3 years anyway. So I think on paper, you've got a lot of guys that you should be a contender with. But it's a really old team with some young guys that, again, I'm not going to sit here and um, dog on the Angels, but I mean, the way that they've decided to draft older guys and then they don't even develop them, they just shoot them straight to the big leagues. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a right strategy, and it's starting to rear its ugly head where they don't have prospects, and the ones that they do, they're burning them out at the big league level already. So, yeah, it's a weird spot. I think they have the worst future out of all of these teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got them right behind the Rays, but ahead of the White Sox just because that's major league talent that might again hold them afloat at the early stages, and then they might fall off towards the end.
Yeah. I would second all of that. Um, I don't, like they have a few guys like Zach Neto will be interesting to watch.
Yeah,
Like there's
come
guys
to the
there that'll
Atlanta
be
Braves
like
after Dubon. Would love you to be a shortstop for the Atlanta Braves. Say that again. Said it all last year. I'll say it again.
like
Manifesting.
yeah, there's pieces there that you're like, oh yeah, that guy would be sick on my team. But there's nobody on that team that you're like, oh yeah, that guy would for sure carry my team. I
Yeah,
think that's the bit that they're missing, and they don't have a lot of guys that you'd look at and be like, oh yeah, that would be sick on my team right now. I guess
yeah,
depending on the team that you're on, because if you're the Rockies, you're like, all of those guys would be sick on my team. Um,
yeah.
outside of, well, even Neto, I guess would be a step up, but. Sorry, Rockies fans. I know you just caught a stray. My bad. Let's move on to like greener pastures a little bit, because I think I have ideas for the B tier here, and it's a lot of East teams. If I'm honest, I'm going to start with Boston. Actually, I think Boston kind of sits in like the same ish spot as the Braves and the Phillies. Um, the pitching the top end is electric with Crochet, and like I'm still kind of high on Bayo, and they just added Ranger, and
And Sonny Gray, and yeah,
it's like it's there. I could see it, right? There's a world, but there's definitely teams better than them.
yeah,
They're not the best team in their division, I don't think, and I think that is kind of the separator between B and A to me. And I know we don't have any teams in A at this point, but
yep.
I
There
think
will.
that like the Yankees would be an A tier team if we wanted to do
Yes.
that. Like, and I'm
Yeah.
actually just gonna slide them there just to like have a team there, and we'll transition into talking about them. I think the Yankees are like a step better than the Red Sox are, and I know that's gonna pain Red Sox fans to hear, but I just think they are. Like, I think the
The
roster is
offense
a
is
little
better.
deeper.
The pitching's a little deeper. Yeah, they're
The
just
pen is a little
slightly
better.
better. Doesn't mean the Red Sox can't contend, but the Yankees are slightly better. And I'll even second it while we're in the AL East. Go ahead and put the Toronto Blue Jays right above the New York Yankees in the A tier.
Okay.
And I would second everything there. I think the loss of Bo Bichette will be felt offensively. But you went out and spent money and got Dylan Cease that adds that rotation better. You've got Trey Savage, who's not going to be there to start the year, but he'll be there.
Yep.
And then the offense is rolling on all cylinders like they did in the World Series run. You've got Vladdy, you've got George Springer, and you've got dudes there. So offensively, they'll be perfectly fine. They'll mash, and the pitching got better. Jesus Sanchez actually, I think, gives them a really a needed left-handed bat with some pop that they haven't had in that lineup, which extends the lineup a bit more. So yeah, I think they're right in that same tier with the Yankees. Just because I put them above them doesn't mean they are 100% better. But I do think at the end of the day they'll finish a game or two better and win the division.
Yeah, I think that both East are going to be like a shootout between,
Yeah,
three or four
The
teams,
top 3 or 4 teams, yeah.
right? So like it's like razor thin, right? It's like kind of like a flip a coin thing. There's going to be a series, I'm sure, in like late August, September between the Yankees and Blue Jays that probably decides the division, right? And I don't know. I think them both sitting together is fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a stab at my hot take here, and maybe this isn't a hot take. I think the Mariners are up there with like the Yankees and Jays. I
I would
think that
agree.
I think that there's pieces there like Cal Raleigh. I do not think that Cal Raleigh is going to repeat what he did last year. There just is no way.
I don't think so. Be a great baseball player, but I don't think he repeats.
Yeah, they're just right. I think he's really good. He's a damn good ball player. There's no way he hits 60 again, right? And a lot of the team that we remember from last year was like trade acquisitions. I feel like you
Mhm.
think about Naylor and Suarez, both those guys didn't start the year on that team. I think that the pitching can carry, and I think the
Yep.
ballpark helps the pitching, and that's kind of why I have them here. In my mind, they're winning the AL West.
I would
Um,
agree.
I I think that they're worse than the Yankees and probably worse than the Jays, but I
Yep.
do think that they're probably better than every team below them on the list at this point, if I'm
I
looking
would
at it
agree, and the only thing I would add to the Seattle Mariners is I really like Canzone, I really like Cole Young, the young guy stepping into bigger roles now, and Brendan Donovan, the addition there for an on-base guy, again, gets on base. That's another guy for Cal Raleigh to drive home. You've again got another season of Julio Rodriguez. So, yeah, I mean, this team's going to be exciting, and that pitching is elite. When you're
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 pitchers deep, it's a tough series whenever you face the Mariners, regardless of who you're facing
Yeah.
on Monday through Friday.
Yeah, it's I they're my pick to win the West, and that's maybe sacrilegious to say as a Rangers fan. I'm wearing a Rangers hat right now. I think they're the best team in the West. I think it's close. Like I think it'll be a competitive division, as a lot of these will be, but I think that I give the edge to Seattle.
Yeah. And while we're looking at teams in this A range and in this Seattle range, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Chicago Cubs up there as well.
Okay.
I think the Cubs are slightly better than the Seattle Mariners. I've got them slightly better. I think the Bregman move signates that they are actually in a win now position. Justin Steele is coming back at some point, which is going to be a massive boost for them. Cade Horton was absolutely outstanding towards the end of the year. I know the underlying numbers don't necessarily say that,
Yeah.
but he was absolutely tremendous towards the end. They're going to have pitching. You get Bregman there. Seiya Suzuki's going to start off on the injured list. Shout out my fantasy team. But either way, like if this team stays healthy, they I think are going to run the NL Central and have an easier path to the playoffs. And I think on paper, they may not be better than Seattle on paper, but I think getting into the postseason where they're at, who they're going to have to face, I think they're going to be just as dangerous.
Yeah. I like the addition to Bregman. I think is huge for a couple of
Yeah.
reasons. One, it replaces Kyle Tucker.
Yep.
Obviously, it's a righty bat. Replacing a lefty bat. Third
But it
base.
sounds like Bregman wants to actually be there as opposed to Kyle Tucker just biding a year or two, which helps
Yeah,
tremendously for
the it
vibes.
was, and I know we've talked about this before, so we won't go like deep into it, but it never felt like the Cubs and Tucker ever got to like extension talks, which is wild to
Yeah.
me. Like they just kind of coexisted for a while, and then they were like, "All right, see ya." Like I don't know if there was like beef or the personality didn't fit or what, but I don't know. It feels like you're right. It feels like Bregman wants to be there. Bregman signed like a longer deal, obviously. I
Mhm.
think that's like a good veteran presence to have, which, what's that really worth? It's hard to say in like
And he left
wins,
another
but
good team to do it too. He left Boston.
yeah, so I think that's a fair place to put them, I think. Um I am struggling with what to do with the Mets because I think that they are just like right in the middle of the Braves and the Phillies. And I
Yeah,
honestly, if this was like
I'm
a
gonna agree because I like
3D
how this
tier
looks.
list, they would be stacked on top of each other because it's just like a
Yeah,
coin flip to me as to who's going to come out with this division. Like they don't really have pitching and they have 800 second basemen on the roster, but like maybe
it could very well still work.
yeah, I like Juan Soto's on the team and Lindor's on the team, and anytime you have those two guys at the top of your order, I'm gonna believe that that team's gonna be good. Like it's
Yeah,
gonna be hard for them to lose 100 games for sure.
yeah.
Um, but I think right in the B tier feels fair. I think there's not a dominant team in the East. I don't think looking at it, looking through all like the injuries and stuff that have popped up also, it's anybody's game. I think out in
It is. And again, as the Braves Glazer over here, I have the Mets winning the division at 92 wins. I have the Braves at 91 wins and the Phillies at 90 wins. I think
okay.
it's be extremely close and it's a coin flip between any of these teams. Like I'm liking the Braves being ahead of the Mets there. So cool, keep it
Yeah.
there. Just because, again, I'm a Glazer, I'm a Braves fan. Let's do it. But no, all three of these teams have some question marks, and it's weird, but I do think the Mets have started off losing the offseason and then subtly won the offseason. But now it's just
Yep.
can all this gel together and can they not met it come September? I'm hoping they do. Hope, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, they are relying on a lot of young pitching.
They
Um,
are
you know,
exciting, but young pitching.
yeah, I mean, Tong should be good. McLean just pitched in the WBC, and he
Hmm.
looked okay in one start and atrocious in another against Italy, I believe, kind of lit him up. But I think it's going to be okay. I think you're right. I think all of these teams are going to be within a win or two at the end. Again, I think there's going to be like a late September series that decides this division between two of these three teams, right? Phillies,
Uh huh.
Mets, Phillies, Braves, Mets, Braves, whatever combination that winds up being. It'll be interesting. It's going to be exciting the whole year, I think, in that division.
Yeah. And now it is time to unbalanced the balanced tier list as all things should be. I think we go right back to banging balls, and I'm gonna put the San Francisco Giants.
Okay. Okay. I was struggling with where to put them in here because I could see it. I could see them in like three tiers, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at Logan Webb and Merrill Kelly, or excuse me, you look at Logan Webb, and then who else is pitching for him? And then again, offensively, you've got Arise, you've got Bader, you've got Malley, who's joined in on the pitching staff. Gregory Santos raises the floor. But they have a better top three than like the D backs, where we'll get to in a second with them. But I don't think they're of the Padres or Dodgers tier either.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like the additions. Year one of Tori Volatile, or however you say his name, the Tennessee manager coming
Yeah,
over.
yeah.
Like him a lot, but this roster construction feels a little weird. And we didn't say this about the Mets, so let's say this about the Mets and the Giants while we say this at the same time. Defensively, I think both of these teams are horrible. They're gonna
Yeah.
put bat on a ball, but what happens when the ball comes to you on the defensive front might determine whether or not you win a couple games. So
Yeah.
Logan Webb, don't throw your change up and hope for double plays. I don't think you're getting any of them. So
Yeah.
it's a question mark, but they'll bang some balls. They just may not be banging balls in the postseason.
Yeah, it's tough. It's an interesting infield that they've assembled, right? From third to first, it's like Chapman, Adames, Arias, and Devers,
Yeah,
which is a wild collection of people to have assembled in your infield, no matter how you how you kind of cut that. Um, and you're right. If a grounder is hit on the right side of the infield, it feels like it's 50-50 proposition as to whether or not that's going to get whether or not that's going to get fielded or not. Which doesn't bode. It doesn't say great things about Webb's season as a ground ball pitcher, but we'll
Mhm.
deal with that later, I guess was the Giants' philosophy. I just I think you're right. They're gonna hit. Like Ramos is gonna hit. Lee is gonna hit. Bader's gonna hit. They're all gonna hit. It's
Yeah.
my God, can they field? And
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a question that's a TBD in my mind, and I think it's fair to put them where you have put them. Uh,
Yeah, and then since I mentioned them already, let's go get the D-backs out too. I'm gonna put the D-backs in between the Orioles and the A's in the banging
okay.
balls tier.
Okay.
Offensively, I think this team's really good. I mean, you've got Perdomo, you've got Marte, you've got Corbin Carroll, you've got Nolan Arenado that's become a huge addition for them. Gabriel Moreno, who's a really good hitting catcher. You've even got Carlos Santana, the wily old veteran wearing thongs everywhere that's joined in to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
bang some balls. But I don't trust the pitching at all. You've got Zach Gallen, who was absolutely horrible last year. He's come back. Merrill Kelly's been decent. But outside of that, what pitchers do you truly have in on that D-backs roster? And then again, you're contending with the Giants, the Padres, the Dodgers for that division. So again, we've seen it. They've got the pieces to get hot and get to a playoff. And if you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. I think anything can happen with any of these teams in the banging balls category. But I just don't have them better as the Orioles, and I don't have them better as the Giants. I think they're the fourth best team in that division.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot for sure. I'm there with you. I they're in like kind of the same tier to me, and you have it right as like the Pirates. I have a hard time seeing them making a run. Not that it's impossible for them to do so. It's going to be much harder for them than the Pirates because they have the Dodgers to reckon with. But
Yeah,
it gets dicey for sure. It
it
gets
does.
dicey quickly. Um, so sticking in the West, what do you want to do with the uh the Padres? They're our last West team.
Yeah, so I've got the Padres in that B tier ish, right in around the Boston Philadelphia range. I mean I think I would put them right on top of Philly, so we can put them right in between Philly and Boston. I don't think it's bleak yet in San Diego. I think obviously losing Dylan Cease, but you'll be replacing him with Joe Musgrove coming back off of injury, who was really good before injury. You lose Luis Arise, but you're going to get full seasons of Andujar and Ramon Laureano,
Yeah.
who've been tremendous. Nick Castellanos is hanging out now in that outfield. So he's not a good baseball player anymore, but it's Nick Castellanos. He's done something in his big leagues career. He's been a dude.
Yeah.
And if anything goes wrong in the year 2026, just know he's pinch hitting and he's going yard. Whenever we've got to announce it. The bullpen, I still think, is one of the best in baseball, despite losing Robert Suarez to my Atlanta Braves. And then again, you get Michael King back. You've got pitchers on that team. It's a weird roster construction. I know we've got the issues with the ownership that you're losing money here and you can't necessarily pay everybody. But I do think, at least on paper, they're still a tier above the San Francisco Giants and Arizona Diamondbacks, but they still don't have enough to continue to fight with Big Brother Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, I would generally agree with that. Another team I have kind of in that same boat is the I struggle with what to do with the Rangers. I think they're going to wind up in B tier for me. I have a hard time believing the offense is going to be as bad as it was last year. And based on how bad the offense was, it feels disingenuous to put them in a tier named Bangin' Balls. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think that like, I think their peak, their like ceiling for the year is higher than all of these teams, but I think
Yep.
their floor is potentially lower than all of these
Lower,
teams.
yeah. I think the Rangers are a big boomer bust team this year, and I have them tied with my final wild card spot to get into the postseason, just in my base predictions.
Yeah.
And I think I'll go with the other team for my AL wild card spot in the Kansas City Royals, but we'll get to them in a minute. But I do think it's a boomer bust potential with the Texas Rangers. I really like Mackenzie Gore being added. Nimmo coming over, I think, is solid. You get a full season of Wyatt Langford, hopefully. Carter is still really good in that outfield. So you've got pieces. It's just okay. Can you consistently hit? I mean, the pitching's been good. Now you add Mackenzie Gore to that. Can Kumar Rocker take another step forward? You've got pieces, but I could see it blowing up or I could see it going tremendously well. So I've got them at 87 wins and tied for the final wild card spot, and it's a coin flip between them and Kansas City, who goes in.
Yeah.
Um, but with that being said, just for the sake of it, go ahead and put Kansas City above them because Kansas City's my last AL wildcard spot, and I'll break them down for a second. I think the Royals, just like the Pirates, are one of the biggest sleeper teams in baseball. The rotation has already been proven to be very good. And then, as long as the guys come back healthy and can stay healthy through the season, Isaac Collins has been added. Lane Thomas is good at Elias Diaz, who's got big league time, although he's not been as good as recently, like what he did in Colorado. He's still there hanging out in AAA, or at least going to be a backup catcher there with experience. The bullpen was good, but it did get better with Matt Strom coming in. Like, I know that's weird to say, but it's a better reliever than what they've had. You've got Mears, you've got Lang coming in as well. And then a big year out of Bobby Witt Jr. And then what did we see with Mike Hill Garcia in the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah.
I think this team's going to be a really exciting one to watch this year. And I do think they can take that step of getting back to the postseason and being a wild card team. Now, can they contend for a World Series? Probably not. But I think they do take that next stage of being a really exciting baseball club that gets in via a wild card and can at least do something in a wild card round.
Yeah, it's Kansas City strikes me as a team that in like a 3 game series anything can happen, but in like a 5 or 7 game series you're probably beating them. Is like
Yeah.
that tier that they kind of fall in. Uh, I would agree. I think that the Royals are probably a little better than the Rangers, although time will tell. And the Rangers did
Uh-huh.
just beat them twice in the final 2 spring training games. I just want to throw that in as a biased Rangers
Well,
fan.
Braves got them on opening day, so
Uh,
we'll see how it happens on Friday.
yeah, we'll we'll see how we go, but I would agree. I think they're probably a little better. I think that they're in the same echelon as the rest of these teams, so it feels fair
Yeah.
to have them there for sure. Let's close out the AL West because the
Okay.
Astros to me are worse than the Mariners for sure. I think they're probably in B tier. I think they're probably just higher in B tier than the Rangers are. I think that they're like comparable ish. I the Astros are like in a weird spot for me because the core is aging slash left slash like come back. Like Altuve
Uh-huh.
is no longer 2017 Altuve, right? And you can make
Yep.
all the trash cans noises you want, but he still was a really good player for a stretch of time, and now he's good, but I wouldn't say he's like the same player that he was. Same with Correa is back, right? Now he's playing
Uh-huh.
third, and Jeremy Pena is exciting for sure, but it feels
Joey
like
Loperfito's even back.
yeah, it feels like they're kind of like declining a little bit finally. Like they have Jordan, they certainly have good players out there,
They do.
but I think in B tier still is like where they live. I don't know where in B tier, but I
Okay.
think they're probably better than these teams down here. But I think
Yeah,
they're worse than these teams up here.
I'm struggling on where to put them because my notes say I may eat my words here, but this team is mid.
Okay.
So they lost Framber, which hurts the rotation massively. Yeah, you
Yep.
still have Hunter Brown, but I mean the pitching's gotten worse since Framber is no longer there, even despite the drama. Mauricio Dubon is now an Atlanta Brave. That's a key utility infielder, and not to throw shade at Nick Allen, but you legitimately replaced a really good utility infielder for an even worse utility infielder.
Yep.
I mean, Loperfito's back, which gives them an outfielder, but I question their outfield as a whole. You don't want Jordan in the outfield.
No.
The bullpen's fine, and the rotation's top heavy. So I just look at too many questions, and I have both the Royals and the Rangers as better ball clubs. Now, again, I think the ceiling for the Astros is kind of like it's a lower ceiling, but it's also a lower floor than the Rangers.
Yeah.
So I think when all said and done, the Rangers will be better. But I just don't think that ceiling's very high for the Astros, and like you said, I think they're declining. So putting them at the bottom of this B tier to keep them in that tier, I think is right. But I will say it, and again, I'll probably eat my words here. I think the Astros are mid this year, and I think the dynasty's finally declining.
Yeah, it feels like bringing back Correa was like a dying grasp almost
Yeah.
of trying to retain the magic they had. Um, and again, they still have good ball players. Like they're better than half the league, probably looking at this tier list the way that we've done this, right? But
Yeah.
I think putting them, the way that we've done this right around 15th feels fair. I think they're I think you're right. They're probably in the same tier as like the Rangers, Royals, right? If you're going to do a sub tier of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um I don't know. I think maybe I'm just scarred and I've seen it a lot in the last decade where they pop out better than we think.
Oh, well, again,
Uh
that's why I'm saying I think the ceiling is not very high, but it's a very high floor on this team too. They're
yeah.
going to be a good team. I just don't think they're gonna blast off for 100 wins. And I think they'll more be saying, Houston, we've got a problem, but that problem's still gonna be 84 wins and missing the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh Unrelated. I guess kind of related. I was in Minute Maid for the World Baseball Classic. Sat in the Crawford boxes for batting practice one day. Electric. I mean, every ball
Okay.
is like you feel like it's gonna light you up in the face because you're like 20 feet away from the batter's box. It's unbelievable. If you ever go to Houston, probably don't.
Sit in
But
the
if you ever
Crawford
do,
box.
go to Minute Maid and then like hang out in the Crawford boxes for BP. Electric time there.
Well, while
It's
we're on it, I'll just say this too. 2 years ago, I went to Rate Field, or Guaranteed Rate Field, but it's now called Rate Field in Chicago. Sat in the second level, which was like the 5 or 6 rows that they've got there of like their second level or whatever. I think they even call it their third level. Almost got decapitated by an Aaron Judge foul ball. That ball came faster than I've ever seen a ball come at me ever. And so shout out Aaron Judge and shout out Rate Field. Good place to sit if you want to get decapitated.
Yeah. Speaking of decapitations, and this is going to be just a complete sidebar from this. Did you see the guy that popped into the news today that shot? He was like a quadruple amputee that like
I did.
shot somebody or whatever.
Yeah. My first question was, how was he driving the car? I believe him driving the car a little more than then shooting the gun. But
Well,
anyway, I
yeah, but
digress.
we have a video of him like there's a video of him like waddling like up a ladder with a hunting rifle because he's like a big hunter, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's wild, but I, I it was
What
worth
happens when we're an
mentioning.
hour into a tier list video?
Yeah. Somebody clip that.
Yeah, somebody clip it.
Uh, okay, let's end this now. We have three more teams left. Let's knock the Marlins off. They've been here for way too long. I've been staring at them for the last 30 minutes. I don't know. They're
I'm,
not awesome. Are they better than the
yeah,
Nationals?
let's put the
Probably.
Marlins top of D tier.
Okay.
I want to put them in banging balls, but I just can't yet.
Yeah.
The Marlins on paper don't look half bad. I think they are going to be a little frisky team in the NL East that might be able to to be able to strike some fear into some of these NL East postseason hopes and division championship hopes. And they've got a lot of young guys that I really really like. I just think they're still really young. And again, you look at the rotation of Sandy and Yuri, pretty good.
Yep.
And then they've added Pete Fairbanks. You've got a closer,
Yep.
so they've got enough to make things interesting. I just don't think they're in the top three, and I think there's a gap between the top three teams and then them, and then there's a massive gap between them and the Nationals.
Yeah. I would second that. Uh The Tigers are interesting to me. Obviously, they added Framber. We
Yep.
still don't really know what they're going to do with Scooble. I think my gut says he makes it through the season, but I guess it really depends on how the first half goes for them.
Yeah.
Framber is for sure Scooble insurance, right? If you get rid of him, you still have an ace, but if you wind up retaining him, which it doesn't feel like they will, like they're a good team, right?
Yeah.
They're
They're a good team. You got the vibes of Justin Verlander coming back too. May not really perform, but you got the vibes back.
yeah,
They're a team.
it's
And you get Jackson Jobe back from Tommy John at some point too.
yeah, it's
That'll be a
they're
trade deadline
good.
acquisition.
I just don't know that they're I guess in my mind, they're probably bottom of this A tier, maybe top of B, because I kind of believe in them more than the AL or the NL
Yeah.
East brigade here. So I
I'll
would at
still put
least
them
put
in
them
B tier though, because I
above.
do think this offense has shown signs of being really good. Like we saw all the way through the summer of 2025, and then they randomly fell off and allowed the Cleveland Guardians to make the run that they made.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's like offensively, I think they're still boomer bust. Pitching should be there for this team. And if they start off slow at all, that's where these conversations about are we going to have to then trade Scooble and get what we can for him to reset a window. That's where these conversations begin. But
Yeah.
on paper, I still think they're a playoff team. I think they win the AL Central. It's just how do those first 2 months go? And can you get into the summer healthy? And then can you just do what you got to do to hold off the Scooble trade talks and you keep Scooble for a playoff run and then whatever happens after that happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And the last team here is the Brewers. If you want to close us out here.
Yeah, so the Milwaukee Brewers, they dominated 2025, and they decided to part ways with Peralta, Durbin, Collins, Hoskins, Danny Jansen, and Quintana in the offseason. So again, losing a lot of veteran guys. They're kind of the new age Tampa Bay Rays, where they can just let guys go and somehow still be better than they were with those guys. Despite that, I do think the lineup is really, really good. You obviously saw what Bryce Terang was able to do in the World Baseball Classic. He's still there. William Contreras is there. You've got good lineup there. Christian Yelich, injury concerns, obviously. There's always a concern as he ages. But the rotation, I still think will be good. Mizorowski will take another step forward. This team knows how to coach pitching. Um, I do think they take a step back, though. I don't think they repeat that 97 win season or whatever it was that they had last year. I've got the Cubs a tier above them. I, I'm not going to doubt the Brewers because they've proven more and more times that they can make me wrong. But I do think they take a step back, and they might have let too much go. So I'm going to put them right under Boston in the B tier. I think they're a good ball club. They can still contend. But you compare them to Boston, I don't think they're as good as Boston. If you compare them to Kansas City, I think they're better than Kansas City.
Okay. I think that's fair. Um, yeah, and I guess that's the tier list. So I guess we're saying the Dodgers are, the
The
best
Dodgers are the
team. I guess
Dodgers,
our World
and
Series
everybody else is
contenders here are
chasing.
like the Jays, Yankees, Cubs, Mariners. Is that what we're saying
Yeah.
out of this group? I think uh B tier we're gonna name the eastern half of America, less San Diego. Doesn't that just roll off the tongue? Uh,
The East plus SD.
there we go. Doesn't that just look visually appealing? Banging balls could just be like we're finally exciting. I think
Yeah.
that describes a lot of these teams
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty well, honestly. Uh, I don't know. What do you have for A tier here?
Uh, Dodger chasers.
Okay.
Legitimate teams that can chase the Dodgers.
Yeah, yeah. And then D tier is like send help.
Yeah.
I think that feels fair. And I guess that's the tier list for everybody watching. Maybe we'll do award predictions next time because we're already like an hour 15 into this and no one's going to make it to this part of the video for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Uh, but yeah, let us know if you made it to the end of this. First of all, why? Get a life. Uh, Second of all,
Make sure you're
comment.
subscribed if you do make it to the end.
Yeah, yep, true. Hype the video. I don't know what it does, but
Yeah,
do it.
it boosts
Maybe
the
don't.
algorithm.
I don't.
Post it to more people so you can hear our amazing ball knowledge and how all of these predictions are 100% perfect, and we are the best
Yeah,
ball knowledge knowers of all time.
yeah. Let us know if we nailed it on your team or if we didn't. I looking at it, it feels pretty fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody's going to disagree, I'm sure. So let us know down in the comments section if you agree. Let us know down in the comments section if you disagree. Justin, give him a player to comment.
I mean, hey, let's keep it with Cy Young's rolling. Paul Skeens. Shout out Pirates. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Comment Paul Skeens if you made it to the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. Take it easy.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.